What's up, history buffs? Welcome back to The Historian, where we explore the legends who didn't just play their sports, they conquered them. Today we're talking about a woman who turned tennis into her personal kingdom and ruled it for over 2 decades. Meet Serena Williams, the undisputed queen of tennis. Serena Williams didn't just play tennis, she weaponized it, turning a racket into a scepter and center court into her throne room. Compton princesses. Our story begins on September 26, 1981, in Saginaw, Michigan, where Serena Jamaica Williams was born. But it really takes off in Compton, California, where she grew up. Serena was the youngest of 5 daughters to parents Richard Williams and Oracene Price, and her father had a plan so audacious it sounds like a Hollywood movie. Richard Williams watched Virginia Rusici win the 1978 French Open and had an epiphany. I'm going to create 2 tennis champions. This is a man living in Compton, where tennis courts were about as common as royal palaces. But he wrote a 78-page business plan to turn his daughters into tennis legends. Most parents hope their kids will pass math class. Richard Williams was out here planning world domination. The family moved to Compton when Serena was a toddler, and Richard converted the local public courts into his daughter's training ground. Picture this: 2 little girls learning to play tennis on cracked concrete courts with chain-link fences and the occasional sound of gunshots in the background. It was like training for Wimbledon in a war zone, but it built a mental toughness that no private academy could teach. The Williams sisters practiced with old balls, mismatched rackets, and a father who was part coach, part motivational speaker, and part bodyguard. Other families were spending thousands on private lessons. The Williams family was getting world-class training for the price of bus fare to the public courts. The Prodigy emerges. By age 9, Serena is already showing signs of something special. She moves to Florida to train at Rick Massey's academy, and this guy, who had already coached champions, takes one look at her and basically calls his bank to secure a loan. He saw a future that everyone else missed. The early 1990s were Serena's learning to be superhuman phase. While most kids her age were playing with dolls, Serena was learning to hit tennis balls with the force of a small cannon. Her power was unprecedented. Coaches had never seen a young player generate that kind of pace from ground strokes. But here's what made Serena different from other powerful players. She had finesse to match her force. She could hit a 100-mile-per-hour winner down the line, then drop a shot so soft it barely cleared the net. It was like having a samurai sword and a paintbrush in the same hand. Devastating precision wrapped in overwhelming power. Her junior career was solid but not spectacular. She wasn't the most decorated junior player, which is hilarious in hindsight. It's like looking at Mozart's elementary school report card and seeing shows potential in music. The tennis world had no idea what was coming. The professional breakthrough. Serena turns professional in 1995 at age 14, and the tennis world gets its first real glimpse of what Richard Williams had been cooking up in Compton. Her early years were a mix of promise and growing pains. She was clearly talented but raw, like a diamond that hadn't been polished yet. 1999 changes everything. At the US Open, 17-year-old Serena becomes the first African-American woman to win a Grand Slam singles title since Althea Gibson in 1958. She doesn't just win, she dominates, defeating world number 1 Martina Hingis in the final like she was playing against her little sister in the backyard. The victory was seismic. Here's this teenager from Compton with beads in her hair and an attitude that screamed confidence, beating the established world order. The tennis establishment didn't know what to do with her. She was too powerful, too confident, too different from what they expected a tennis champion to look like. But Serena wasn't done shocking people. After winning the US Open, she doesn't win another Grand Slam for 3 years. 3 years! Most people thought she was a one-hit wonder, that the pressure had gotten to her. They had absolutely no idea what storm was brewing. The Serena Slam era begins. Then comes 2002, and Serena decides to remind everyone why you should never count out a Williams. She wins the French Open, Wimbledon, and the US Open in the same year. But here's the kicker. She beats Venus in the finals of all 3 tournaments. Venus, her own sister, the woman who helped raise her. Imagine having to beat your best friend, training partner, and sister to achieve your dreams. Most people can't even beat their siblings at board games without drama, and Serena is out here crushing Venus's Grand Slam dreams on the biggest stages in tennis. The family dinners must have been awkward. 2003 brings the Australian Open, and Serena completes what becomes known as the Serena Slam, holding all 4 Grand Slam titles simultaneously. She would go on to win 23 major women's singles titles, the most in the Open era, but this first run established her as something special. She wasn't just winning tournaments, she was collecting Grand Slams like they were Pokemon cards. The dominance was psychological as much as physical. When Serena walked onto court, opponents were already halfway beaten. She had this aura of invincibility that made other players question their life choices. It was like playing chess against a computer that could also bench press 300 pounds. The power and the passion. What made Serena different wasn't just her tennis, it was her presence. She spent 319 weeks as world number 1, third all-time behind only Graf and Navratilova. But those numbers don't capture the fear she instilled in opponents or the excitement she brought to fans. Her serve was a weapon of mass destruction. At its peak, she was hitting serves over 120 miles per hour, which is faster than most people drive on highways. But it wasn't just the speed, it was the placement, the timing, the psychological impact of knowing that at any moment, she could end a point with one swing. Her ground strokes were equally devastating. She could hit winners from positions where other players were just trying to get the ball back in play. Behind the baseline, off balance, running at full speed, didn't matter. Serena found angles that geometry teachers would struggle to explain. But beyond the power was the passion. Serena played every point like it was match point in a Grand Slam final. She celebrated with the intensity of someone who had just discovered fire, and she competed with the fury of someone defending their home. You didn't just watch Serena play tennis, you experienced it. The rivalries that defined an era. Every great champion needs great rivals, and Serena had some legendary battles. The rivalry with Venus was unique. Sibling rivalry played out on the world's biggest stages. They met in Grand Slam finals 9 times, with Serena winning 7. It was like watching 2 superheroes fight, except they went home to the same family dinner afterward. Then there was Maria Sharapova, who won their first meeting and probably thought she'd found her rival. Little did she know she just awakened a sleeping dragon. Serena went on to win the next 19 meetings, in a row. 19! It was less a rivalry and more a masterclass in psychological warfare. Her rivalry with Justine Henin was pure tennis artistry. Power versus finesse, emotion versus precision. The comeback queen. If Serena's early career was about establishing dominance, her later career was about proving that greatness doesn't expire. After some early 2010 struggles with health issues and personal challenges, she roared back with a vengeance that redefined what athletic longevity looks like. 2012 marks the beginning of her second dynasty. She wins Wimbledon, the Olympics, her first singles gold medal, and starts another run of dominance that would make her younger self proud. At age 30, when most tennis players are considering retirement, Serena was just getting started on her second act. 2015 was vintage Serena. She won the Australian Open, French Open, and Wimbledon, coming within 1 match of a calendar Grand Slam. The US Open final against Roberta Vinci was supposed to be a formality, but tennis had other plans.